Bustling Fungus. Commonly memed about as the worst item in the game, you have to stand still for 2 seconds to heal for 4.5% of your max HP every second. And in a game where you always have to be moving to avoid enemy attacks, you can see how this item isn't so great. However, there is one exception to this. The Engineer. The Engineer has stationary turrets that don't move regardless of what happens to them, and they inherit all of your items, so them plus Bustling Fungus actually makes it a good item. Well, I am here today to test the limits of how far you can take Bustling Fungus with the Engineer. I will not stop until the whole map is covered in a healing aura. Now, a lot of this run is going to consist of me standing still and waiting for items to drop. So I'm using the Artifact of Command, obviously, so I can choose the Bustling Fungus, and Sacrifice and Swarms. I'm using the stationary turrets and the bubble so I don't die immediately. I launch into Titanic Plains and am immediately greeted by all of the friendly wildlife just waiting to greet me. I find a pretty flat area and I prepare my turrets for probably the best engineer run you are ever going to see in your entire life. I get my first item drop and I excitedly run over to pick up, you guessed it, Bustling Fungus. This is the first of many. I place my first turret down with Bustling Fungus and it's only healing me for 4 every tick, but if I stand still too, it actually stacks so I can get triple the effect of Bustling Fungus. This is why it's so good on Engineer. I honestly have no idea what happens to the recording here or why it did this, but it'll get fixed later. But for the green items, I'm going to go strictly for AoE and DPS since I'm going to be mainly stacking Bustling Fungus and I don't want to spend 10 years trying to kill one enemy. I get my first equipment and I decide to go for the Trophy Hunter's Tricorn. This will allow me to get a free boss item, and since I have command on, that can be whatever I want. Boss items are very powerful, and I can use them to my advantage to skyrocket my DPS. The turrets do need to be replaced every now and then because the effects only apply after you place the turret down after getting the item. So that's kind of the only thing I have to do except for AFK. I got bored and kind of wandered around a bit just to see what the stage had to offer. There was a couple combat shrines that I activated, and then I decided to get some drones because that'll just take the aggro off of me and my turrets. I looked at pretty much the whole stage, and there was only one healing drone, so that's useful. But I went back to my little AFK spot and sat there. I noticed this giant horde of beetles that I kind of spawned in and then left there. You can see why I chose the bubble because literally nothing can get through and it's helpful at the beginning when I don't have as much Bustling Fungus to survive. After I got about 10 Bustling Fungus, I decided to use crit glasses just because it would help me, kill enemies faster and not take forever on each stage. I got pretty bored. I decided to draw a little smiley face with my turrets and my mines. I know, I'm an amazing artist. This is the most thrilling gameplay you will ever see in this game. I decided to start getting ATG missiles and tougher times to boost my DPS and give me some needed survivability, because once I get past stage 3, the enemies start doing way more damage than I can handle. Now enjoy the sick AFK montage as I sat there waiting for items to spawn. This is why I bought this game, to just sit here and look at items fall from enemies. I got a red item on stage 1, which I wasn't really expecting, but I decided to go for ceremonial daggers just to give me the needed damage boost. And it would also go really well with my ukuleles to start some proc chains that would kind of kill everything on screen faster. You're probably noticing lots of equipment pile up here because there's actually a pretty high chance to drop equipment and I didn't need more than one equipment, so yeah, those were kind of useless. But I was just waiting till I got 20 tougher times because that would give me a 75% chance to block any damage, which would be super useful. I decided to make my way over to the teleporter and I was really starting to notice my lack of speed. So I decided to get some wax coils and hopu feathers just so I could avoid enemy attacks better when I needed to. This gives me some much needed mobility and I just keep stacking Bustling Fungus so I can make my area wider. There's not really a way I could die at this point, so I just decided to activate the teleporter. As you can see here, it spawns a couple wandering vagrants, but they die fairly quickly. They don't even have time to explode or anything like that, so I'd say that's pretty good for stage 1 damage. I did forget to use my tricorn during the fight, but I get Shatter Spleen on the next floor. The first thing I notice on the next floor actually is that it's only stone golems spawning, and I believe this is due to the difficulty scaling and how the monster spawns in the game work. Basically, the game needs a certain amount of points to spawn an enemy, and if the difficulty scaling gets too high, only one type of enemy spawns since it'll just have too many points to know what to do with. But I kind of destroy the teleporter boss fairly easily. Again, that's honestly not that much of a surprise. I get my Shatter Spleen and I go to the next floor, which is Sulfur Pools, and I am immediately greeted by a couple Z constructs, which is nice. I apologize for any lag at this part, but this floor kind of makes my computer go horrible. But I get a drone that has my hat, so it just says ahoy in the chat over and over again. I get another tricorn, and then I go pretty much straight to the teleporter on this stage because I don't really want to be on it. The Z constructs kind of instantly die, no surprise at this point. I did try to use my tricorn, but they died too fast, so I get a boss item anyway, and I decided to get a charge perforator just because the extra single target DPS could be really used. Something I noticed is that when the beetle guards do their little grab and the tougher times blocks it, it doesn't cancel all the momentum like it does with the stone um, giants. I just thought that was interesting. Nothing really happened on stage 4 except for me figuring out that the drones can actually get healed by the bustling fungus area. I guess that's common sense, but I never really had an area big enough to heal a drone. I decided to get Aegis because, I mean, the amount of overhealing is not an issue, it just makes me harder to kill. I decided to just go for the teleporter pretty early on this stage. I didn't want to spend too much time. It has not very fun enemies to deal with. I ended up finding a void zone. I was hoping for a lysate cell because that would give me one extra turret for way more healing area. I did not end up finding one. I did end up getting a common void item. It took me a bit to decide what I wanted to get. I almost picked up Weeping Fungus just out of instinct, which would have killed the entire run, but I ended up going for Needle Tick just because I was worried about how much single target DPS we would have, especially against the Mithrix fight. But I head to the teleporter. I think I used my Hunter's Tricorn, but it killed the Magma Worm underground, but I also ended up getting a boss item anyway. I couldn't really figure out what to get, but I got Molten Perforator just for the extra AoE and everything. That'll help with my proc chains and stuff. Stage 5 is where things kind of started to get interesting. I walk into the stage and I instantly see grandparents having a nice meeting over there. I didn't think they would be too much of an issue, so I kind of just decided to ignore them for the time being. But I eventually decided I didn't want to go over there without my healing aura, so I tried to kind of bridge over with my turrets, and I kind of looked away and looked back and they were dead, so not sure what happened there, but at least they are not a threat anymore. I end up getting another red item, and from here I decided to get a 57 leaf clover, because that'll just help proc everything. It'll give me a higher chance to fire rockets, to proc my ukuleles, just everything. I continue getting Bustling Fungus. I think my goal is to get 100 Bustling Fungus by the Mithrix fight. I end up getting another red, which was pretty lucky, and I had honestly no idea what to get from this, but I went with a Brilliant Behemoth just because why not? It's pretty much 60% more damage, and I didn't need any other reds at this point. And after a rough 85 minutes of sitting there farming, I finally get my 100th Bustling Fungus, and I look up at the sky on a beautiful day in Sky Meadows. I decided to go to a vantage point just to see how much area my 100 Bustling Fungus would have, and it kind of covered this whole section of the map. And some things tried to spawn, but they kind of instantly got denied by my turrets. I head over to the teleporter for one last time. I start it, and I think this is by far the fastest boss kill we've had so far. The constructs literally did not have any chance of surviving at all. I arrive on commencement and I immediately skip the entire floor with one equipment, which, is very cool. Um, I make it to the Mithrix fight and I am not really worried about anything. I have my 100 Bustling Fungus, my 50 ATG missiles, but I think my main concern is probably him killing me during the fourth phase. But anyway, I hop into the Mythics battle. This cutscene plays of him dropping down. Um, I do get a little scared of the two Mythrixes that spawn, so I kind of immediately place my drones down. They are very quick in killing Mythics, the first phase. I believe most of my damage came from the collapse, because there would just be short bursts of insane damage that I didn't really know where they came from at the time, but it was a good call getting that collapse. Yeah, these get killed pretty quickly. The second phase starts and I just kind of run around. I try to place them in the middle just so it covers the whole area. It's not like it really matters. That cutscene plays of him dropping down. Um, I do get a little scared of the two Mithrixes that spawn, so I kind of immediately place Mythrix to come. I thought this would take longer to kill than the first phase, but I was mistaken. Something happened, I'm not sure what, but they kind of just instantly got destroyed. So fourth phase comes along, Mithrix takes all my items, and it's kind of not really an issue. I just place my turrets down, I get my ukuleles back, followed by my 100 Bustling Fungus. Not sure why I didn't just stand still here, I probably could have, but I just didn't want to get hit at all. But yeah, I start to get all my stuff back, and then, yeah, Mixix tries his best to kill me, but is unsuccessful. You can see here one died, shortly followed by the other one, and yep, that was a pretty easy fight. Did not run into any difficulties, but the escape phase comes along, and nothing interesting really happens. I just go through the portal and wait in the ship to escape. Um, I actually did try this um, before this, but I ended up dying on stage 4 to an Elite Elder Lemurian because it just did so much damage. That's why I decided to get the tougher times beforehand. It was a pretty fun challenge. If you enjoyed or did not enjoy the video, feel free to comment any criticism or praise that you would like to give me. I'm trying to work on, making videos and stuff. This is my second video ever. But yeah, if you like the video, feel free to subscribe. I definitely would not mind. I'm not trying to sound like a sellout here, but thank you for watching. I actually did try this